आप्यायन्तु ममाङ्गानि वाक्प्राणश्चक्षुश्रोत्रमथो बलमिन्द्रियाणि च सर्वाणि सर्वं ब्रह्मोपनिषदम् माहं ब्रह्म निराकुर्याम् मा ब्रह्म निराकरोत् अनिराकरणमस्तु अनिराकरणं मेस्तु तदात्मनि निरतेय उपनिषत्सु धर्मास्ते मयि सन्तु ते मयि सन्तु। Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. May all my limbs attain strength. May the body, mind and my life force all become strong and perfected. Everything is verily the one absolute, all-pervading reality spoken of by the scriptures. Let me never deny this truth. May this truth never reject me either. May all the virtues necessary to experience this truth be with me. Peace, peace, peace. Dear friends, we all know that how dear today's topic of discussion for all of us is health care. That we have to, of course, take care of health. And what is being healthy actually? When we say that I am healthy, what do we really mean by that? A few symptoms or a few signs that one feels of being healthy are we do not complain. There is no complaint that this is right and this is not right. That we are healthy if there is no reason to complain about anything. Then there is also that our physical, mental functions are happening all right. Whatever we want to do, we can do according to the capabilities of all our body and mind. We feel energetic and having, all the desired strength to do things that we need to do. We also feel that there is not any disturbing pain in the body or mind. We are not feeling any sense of being sick. And so in that case we feel that I am a healthy person. Now, if the subject is only this much, then matters would have been easier. But our health has many layers. It is not just a single layered thing. There are various components to it, and today we will try to say in the light of Vedanta that how we have really three different layers involved into each other, and the health of each of these is connected with the other layers. That which is obvious, like the body that is easily perceptible to eye, its health is easily recognized by oneself and by others as well. For example, if say I have a high fever, then it can be detected very easily by touching my person, or using a thermometer and so forth. So that health is obvious. A person is physically healthy, at least to look at, that is obvious. Many things in the physical personality itself are not so obvious. For example, if my blood pressure is not all right, then it may not immediately show up on my person. It requires some more expertise to see that I am not well. Sometimes a person does not show any clear signs of physically being sick, and yet the investigation reveals that there are many problems. One of our friends had gone just for a regular checkup. He was not feeling any sick or anything. He said he's fine, but just for the yearly checkup, time is now ripe for that, so I'm going for that. And then when he was having the checkup, the doctor did not send him back home immediately. He was sent to the hospital for undergoing some surgery to clear the heart blocks. He wasn't feeling any sense of discomfiture, but there was a problem that was detected by a closer look through various the apparatus for that, instruments for that, and thus the health problem was detected through a deep scrutiny. So sometimes, obviously, you don't see anything wrong. There may not be any complaint that the person is making, but yet there may be some health issue. Many times, pain is considered the problem, that when I am getting pain, I feel that there is some problem. And sometimes the pain itself is considered a problem. But pain could be a problem or just an indicator of the problem. Just making the pain go down does not mean the problem gets solved. Just to give an example, some time back, our car was showing engine check, that light, that they have all the sensors, so a light came up, engine checkup. So when it was taken to the mechanic said that there is nothing wrong as such, but that better get it cleared. There is a very little minor problem about that level of oxygen that the mechanism, the computer detects. So that is gone, you have to replace that. But that is not an urgency as such, but it needs to be replaced. And when I asked why it needs to be replaced, he said, now you have the engine check light on there. Now we know it is for this reason. Now if there is something seriously wrong there, it doesn't have any other way to exhibit it there. He also said that we can maybe bypass and shut that sensor, and so it will not show any light. But not showing the light does not mean that there is no problem. The sensor is not there to detect it, that's all. So pain is a sensor that is there to detect something that is not right. You are just told that something is not right and investigation needs to be done to find out the cause of the pain. Just giving a painkiller will just remove that sign. Remove the indicator of the disease, that's all. It will not remove the disease as such. So therefore, one must see that certain symptoms and actual disease are not the same thing. Symptoms, they indicate the disease, but the disease and symptoms are not synonymous. You can treat the symptoms, but that doesn't mean you are necessarily treating the disease. So these things I am telling, and these are applicable to actually both the physical health as well as mental health. About spiritual health I will not be able to tell right away, but about these symptoms and the actual disease, actual health problem, it is not always that the curing or removing the symptoms automatically will remove the disease too. So one must be careful about making judgment in that way. It is important, therefore, that we listen to our body. To take care of health, we have to listen and we have to see what it is telling. And that many times, or most of the times, if we listen, we know that something is wrong and we need to pay attention to it. So, let me now tell about the 3 layers that I was telling you. The 3 layers, the physical, psychological or mental, and the spiritual layer. We have these 3 layers very complicatedly intertwined in us, and therefore the health of one affects the health of other as well. It is not that this layer is all right and the other layer is not all right, so I will be able to function with one layer. That is not the case, because they affect each other. To give you an example of these 3 layers that are functioning in us, let us see that this light that you are seeing, the electric lights. Now these lights, how they are really working, there is that light bulb, that fixture is there. But then it is connected by wires. Those wires are there, and with wires the electricity is flown into those, and that electricity really is working in the form of getting that light through that fixture. So now the fixture is seen. To see wires, we have to make a little more effort. That is the second layer. The fixture, the wire inside. And then the third layer is electricity, that we have to just understand that it is there. We cannot actually see it with the eyes. But all the 3 of these have to function in a connected way. Then only this light will function well. If any of these is deficient, then the result will be that we will not have the light. And therefore, it requires a very careful examination as to which layer has problem. But if one layer has problem, the whole apparatus will be showing a problem. So, therefore, we have to see that our personality has an obvious physical layer, the body. That most of us, almost everybody, sees this body. Everybody has the perception of body. And we identify ourselves with body almost all the time. I am saying almost all the time, but really not all the time. If we are seeing dream, then we are not identified with our gross body. The body that we are now thinking of, that body is really lying on the bed asleep, and you are doing something else at that time. So, therefore, we are not always identified with the physical body. It is sometimes with physical body, sometimes with something different, the mental layer of it. So, therefore, this physical body, it is functioning, but how does it function? There is something that powers it, something that makes it run in a particular way. So that is called in Sanskrit, the word is very nice, it is called antahkarana, means inner instrument. The outer body and the inner instrument that makes it run, go on. So all the functions of this physical body are really being controlled, directed by this internal instrument. In English, maybe it is difficult to translate that word exactly as the inner instrument. This inner instrument has actually 4 functions. Inner instrument, one function is this, it shows the various possibilities of perception. Then the second faculty or the second function that it does is that of selection of the right choice, right option. From the various things that open up, various possibilities that open up, we select one. So that selection is another function. The third function is microprocessing and storing all the experiences. One can call it loosely as memory. And the fourth function is ego in the sense of I. And that, yes, I am so and so, that idea with which we do all these works, that is called ahankara. The faculty that opens up all the different possibilities, that can be seen, for example, how we choose those things, how we decide on those things. Suppose from a distance I see an object, then various possibilities about what that object is get opened up. Is it just a stump of wood there, or is there a particular this man or that man? What is it? It may be this person, this man or that woman. As I go closer, I see that it is a man. Then that one determination has been made, one choice has been made. Then the next thing, you go closer and you recognize that man. That of so many possibilities, now you choose that, yes, this is so and so. So a choice has been made there. So in every perception, so many ideas float about that perception. That part of the inner instrument in Sanskrit gets called manas. We can loosely translate it as mind. And then that faculty which chooses the right one decides upon, takes a decision that this is this. The decision may be right or may be wrong, but you take a decision. So that deciding faculty, that compartment gets called as buddhi, intellect or discerning faculty. Then the storage, every experience gets stored. Compartment, there are compartments, pigeonholes. It gets stored so that we can recall it next time, whenever it is necessary, we should be able to recall it. That is the third function. And the sense of ego, as I experienced, that it all gets stored. Every experience gets stored. So we can see the physical health, mental health, and then we will come to spiritual health. I am speaking right now only about the two layers. I will come to the third layer, which is sometimes called the causal body. These three bodies, the gross body, the subtle body, and then the causal body. We have these three bodies. So, the subtle body is what I was describing to you, the major aspect of it, the inner instrument and all its attachments, all its other accessories like sense organs, motor organs, they are all part of this subtle body. This subtle body carries out all the functions through the gross body and gets the results of those in it. It stores the results, it stores the experiences. The subtle body and the gross body are so closely connected that many times we see the effect of one on another. It is, suppose somebody's physically the body is hurt, then the mind also gets an impact. It is, if the body is sick, then the mind also loses all the enthusiasm and so forth. So, the effect on physical body is seen on this inner or subtle body. Also, if the mind is not doing well, there are problems at that level, then the body also develops, shows the signs of sickness. So, these two layers, they are very closely interconnected. When we speak of taking care of our health, what should we be doing on physical level? We can see that we should take proper intake. Everybody understands that if the intake is proper, then there is a good chance that the body will remain healthy. Also, there has to be proper exercise, proper sleep has to be there, proper rest, proper sleep, proper amount of exercise, proper amount of work, all should be there so that we will be able to keep ourselves healthy. Then still there would be sicknesses. We should take the advice of the experts. It is good to take advice of the experts. One may say, well, the experts could be wrong. Yes, experts could be wrong, but it is more likely that they are right than we ourselves are right. Their judgment having studied these things at depth, their judgment is more likely to be right than my judgment, and therefore I should consult an expert instead of going by my judgment. Even those who are doctors, when they fall sick, not that doctors automatically are all immune to diseases, they also fall sick. But instead of checking on themselves, they go to another doctor, because then they get an objective opinion. Objective opinion is important, because subjective feelings, they interfere with the actual proper objective investigation. So what I feel about myself is an indication, fine, but let it be checked by somebody else. So they go to some other doctor instead of just diagnosing their own problem and taking their own medications. It is preferred that they go to somebody else. So taking advice of the experts and then taking the proper treatment for the disease, so that you can regain the lost health or lost balance. You can get over the sickness and thus become healthy again. So this is about the physical body. And a similar thing is applicable to the mental health also. And we should take proper intake. Proper intake means what here? What is the intake for the mind? We should take in good thoughts, those thoughts which will keep us healthy. And not every thought that we take in makes our mind healthy. But we know what thoughts will keep its health up. So we should take those thoughts in. And the best way for that is to keep ourselves in good environment, good company. One may ask here that how can I always get good company? I have to mix with so many people. How do I know that somebody is good or somebody is bad? Last Friday we were having this discussion on Karma Yoga, Swami Vivekananda's book on Karma Yoga. And he gives there this idea that whatever thought we project, those who have similar thoughts, our minds get into a sync with them. We synchronize, we harmonize with those minds, and a resonance gets built, and thus those thoughts alone become strong in our mind. It is very much like how do you select a radio station? All different millions and millions radio stations, their waves are all around in the atmosphere. But how do you select that particular radio station that you want to listen to? The mechanism is very much like this that I was describing about thought, that you release from the antenna of your receiver exactly a frequency similar to that radio station that you want to get in. And then that forms a resonance. And that becomes, therefore, overwhelmingly big in volume, in its amplitude, and thus all other frequencies, they get tremendously subdued. You cannot hear them. Only that gets heard. Getting good company, actually, friends, is very much in our control. In our control. As soon as we send these good thought waves, then that gets synchronized with very similar thought waves all around, and we will be in good company. They will come to us, we will be in their company. It is same holds with the opposite also, that if we are thinking bad thoughts, that company gets invited and we are in that kind of company. So really there is no point in saying that around me all people are bad, how can I get good company? This very idea that around me all people are bad is a bad thought, and it automatically will bring a bad company to us. So it is important that we nourish our mind with these holy, pure, beneficial diet of thoughts. And that diet we will get always when we start throwing or emanating these good thoughts from us, these beneficial thoughts from us. We will get surrounded by those thoughts. That is just like in physics, it happens with these radio waves and all. With the thought waves also, actually the same thing happens. So that is an important thing to keep our mind in a healthy condition. When we then another thing, that in the case of our physical health, that same thing applies here. A discipline and a routine is very good. Same is applicable to mind too. That mentally, if you can remain healthy, if you may maintain a mental discipline as well. To the extent that we maintain, it helps the mind to remain in healthy condition. Third thing is the mental exercise. How do we do mental exercise? The mental exercise, like physical exercise. What is the meaning of exercise? You stretch yourself to the limit that you can do. Then it is an exercise. You cannot say for a person like me, who has actually no problem in walking, that I walked 20 feet. That is not an exercise. If I walk, say, 10 miles, you can call that, well, I did some exercise. It is so when you are stretched, you are to the limit up to which you can go, then that gets called exercise. If I am lifting, say, half a pound, that is not an exercise. For a person who is, say, recovering from surgery or something, that slowly they would give, okay, try to lift half pound now, or a quarter of a pound, and then slowly they will increase that, so that every time a little exercise gets done, means you stretch to it. In that physical therapy place, I saw that there was a place with that kind of racks there. And it was all marked 20, 21, 22, 23, 24. So a person who is taking, say, shoulder exercise, wants to lift the arm, has to go on stretching. It is first very difficult even to get to the set level of 20. Okay, try. The therapist will say, try. And that person keeps on trying. That is an exercise. And then when that person reaches, say, 20, feels happy, yeah, I have achieved something. And then, okay, go next, 21, 22. So, the exercise is stretching our ability, and it requires a sense of determination, because there is the other force that is already in our mind, a detrimental force, and that is just relax, don't do anything, tell yourselves that that's enough, and why exercise? No, I am feeling tired today, I didn't have sleep yesterday. So the mind will find out all the excuses to avoid being stretched. So one should be aware of this, and thereby we should do that mental exercise to how do you do the mental exercise? Stretch your mind. Just as you stretch your limbs, stretch your mind. And here by mind, it is rather sad that most of the mainstream Western psychology takes this view that mind is identical with brain. Mind and brain are same. But that is not the view according to Vedanta at all. The brain is part of body, of this physical body. You can do brain surgeries. You can take out the brain and show it to people. That not your own brain you cannot take out and show to people, but I mean it is the brain is part of the body, whereas the mind is not part of the body. Mind acts through brain. That is the correct idea. Just as mind acts through all the parts of the body through brain, fine. But to identify brain with mind is not the correct thing. Just as you cannot identify a software with the hardware on which it is loaded. To give you an example, you are playing a song, say on a CD, a music CD, you are playing a song on that. Now, is this song same as that disc? That disc can have some other song, or this very song can be on some other media. That media, the hardware, is not same as the information or the software that is loaded on it. That is, mind is akin to this software that is loaded on this brain, the hardware. So, these two things therefore are separate. According to Vedanta, when a person dies, the brain is destroyed. Most Hindus, they burn their bodies, so brain also gets burned. It is not there anymore, but mind does not die. Just as the software does not die by destroying the hardware. The software is on some other media, it would be there. So, it is very important to understand this difference, friends. Just as if I say that if this light fixture is broken, that doesn't mean the wire is carrying the electricity there is broken. Exactly in the same way, that just because the brain is not functioning does not at all mean that the mind is not functioning. This is an interesting study, especially when we have to look into cases like Alzheimer's, and where you have a problem with the brain, but then the mind is not having any problem except that of expression. The expression is not available there, the tool is not functioning, but the mind is there. So this mind, when that is another topic actually, that when this body dies, it gets loaded onto another body, that is called reincarnation or rebirth. The mind does not, there is no idea, you cannot even think of mind being dead. You cannot even properly define what is the meaning of death of mind. So, but healthy and unhealthy, those things are there. Like if the mind is not able to perform its functions properly. What does it mean? It has, like the software issues like virus. Mind is full of conflicts. So virus is actually like a conflict. It is, so if we have tremendous conflict going on, then we cannot really function. There is nothing wrong with the body, but we are torn, the mind is torn. That is the language also, see, we use that word, torn between two things, whether to do this or whether to do that. It is actually conflict of information, conflict of desires. So, whether to do this or whether to do that. So, one has to resolve that. Then, proper memory means pigeonholing things properly. That is making our mind healthy. Learning to tag our experiences correctly so that whenever we need, that can be taken out. It is like a big library. Suppose a huge, say, Library of Congress. Now, if it is difference between a library and just a huge heap or mountain of books, what is the difference? In the library, whenever I want a book, I will get it quickly. I will, because it has a proper tagging. It has been pigeonholed in the right place. So therefore, whenever I want that, I can get it quickly. From a heap, it is, you cannot get it at all. And so, similarly, we have to store our experiences properly tagged. That is a practice that one has to do. It is learning, again, friends, like learning to keep our body healthy. The learning to keep our mind healthy is also a practice. And meditation and such exercises, they help for this proper organizing. Like organizing the body, organizing a library. So, the mind can get properly organized. Then, another thing that is the function of the mind is setting the priorities. Our desires are so many. In fact, infinitely many desires are coming up. Which one should I go to fulfill first? It is not for most people, because the minds are not well organized. They run after this desire and then run after another desire. Then so it is the wastage of lot of energy. It is therefore a training of the mind. A healthy mind therefore has a very good setup of the priorities. What I should be doing now, and then what I should be doing, and so forth. So, setting up priorities is a good exercise. Like Sri Ramakrishna used to say, that realizing God, to realize God is the goal of human life. So, the most important, the priority is that, to realize God. The reasons are obvious for that. We have discussed in these lectures those reasons many times. I don't want to go into it now. But that is the important priority, most important priority. Then what is conducive to that, that becomes the next priority. Then what is detrimental to that, that should be discarded completely. And that should not be, to discard that should become a priority rather. So it is to set up the priorities. That is another exercise that should be undertaken. Learning to lead a goal-oriented life. So to set up goal is, it requires thinking, friends. It's not very easy. Try to set up a goal for life. You may see that you set up one goal today and another goal tomorrow. So that is not actually setting the goal, it is just moving according to the waves or the whims, and thus it is wastage of energy. So set up the goal for life and arrange your journey to that goal. That is keeping the mind healthy and strong. So also there are the diseases that come to mind, especially the elations and depressions that the mind goes into. Many people think only depression is the disease, but no, friends. It is elation also is a disease. It is elation of the mind makes the perceptive abilities of the mind go down. You do not see the things as they should be seen. It is sometimes this example, when I had read that incident first, I was surprised. The year I had come here, 2001, and then that ball game, so the Red Sox lost. And after the match was over, the crowd got all disturbed, very much depressed, and in that depression, they smashed the cars around. The windshields of the cars were smashed all around there. Said, oh wow, they got such shock because they lost. Then the next year they won. Red Sox won. And they became so elated, did the same thing. Why? Because both things were not handled. The emotional energy that was coming out, there was the only outlet that they could see was to smash the things around. And then next year again when Red Sox won, nothing much happened, because by that time already the expectations were already there, so things happened according to expectations. The first time that they won, that was after many years, that curse was all that thing. So it is therefore very important that to know that we don't go into elation and depression. Just as depression is bad, elation also is bad. We must see that we retain the equanimity. It is retaining equanimity is important, and that is again where meditation and such practices come to help. So these are some of the tips for maintaining the mental health. Reading and thinking good thoughts, listening to good thoughts, then not getting into the depression and all that, elation and depression. When it comes, when it comes, one has to deal with it. I mean, it is just as a physical disease comes, we have to deal with it. When elation and depressions, they come, there are symptoms. We have to deal with that. Not the dealing just with the symptoms, but dealing with the disease. Then I also mentioned organizing, keeping the memory proper so that we can separate the facts from the fiction. We have fiction means the fantasies or imagination and facts. Both are very good friends, but we should know what is what. The fantasy should not be confused for fact. So this is where we can use our faculty of memory and the proper discernment. So now I will come to the third layer, almost at the end of the lecture. The third, that is the spiritual layer. Spiritual layer of our being is neither seen nor felt also, but it is there. You cannot say that it is mind, it is not body, it is not mind. It is the, there are no words really to describe it. It is I am. It is not the ego that I was describing earlier, that awareness, I am. And this I, as spiritual personality, we feel different in all. I am different from somebody else. When I try to show that, I think of mind or body. Otherwise, I do not have any characteristic to separate them. The spiritual health is therefore to keep this spiritual goal uppermost in life. That I am, it is to be based just therefore on this analysis that where do I and somebody else differ? We will see that we cannot show any tangible difference in the I as such. When I try to show that, look, myself and Joan are different, I will show that, well, she has different looks, I have different look. But I am showing only the difference in the body, is it not? And I am not really the body. She is also not just the body. So, I am not really pointing out difference between her and me. If I say, well, I am so intelligent and she is so dull, that we always feel like that. It is about others, but it is that I am so good and then so forth, you know. It is that it is, again I am showing the difference in the mind. I am not showing the difference in I. Just as I am not body, I am not mind either. This I that I am talking about is the unchanging aspect of our being. That aspect which does not change at all. That is the criterion by which you can feel that yes, I am there. That which does not undergo any change. Body and mind both are continuously changing, but I do not change at all. And it is also same in all. The other two layers, they are different. But this spiritual layer is actually same in all unless it gets mixed with this body and mind. When gets mixed with this body and mind, then it looks different. Like you take water in this bottle and in that bottle. Now you say water in this bottle and water in that bottle. What makes it look different? The bottle, this bottle and that bottle. That's it. So, I hear and I hear and I hear, I in everything. That is really not different. And to feel this oneness is the keeping our spiritual health intact. To hold on to this spiritual health, therefore, we have to remember that this I does not change while the body and mind keep on changing continuously. And so, what does it mean? We should not make a permanent conclusion on the basis of something that keeps on changing. We say, this fellow is bad, this person is evil. We should not make this judgment because we are making this judgment on the basis of something that keeps on changing. It is maybe that for you, on that particular occasion, that person acted in not a very good way. But how can you draw a permanent conclusion on the basis of that temporary thing? So, to keep our spiritual health intact or good is one important thing that we can do, is not to derive, not to come to judgments on the basis of the physical and mental characteristics of a person. We can come to the conclusion as to the changing aspects for the changing things, but that should not be taken on that person's identity as such. And therefore, we see the examples that somebody was not a good person some time back. Nobody would have thought that that person is good, but that person gradually we saw that that person became a saint. And so it is important, you see, to see, just as we say that every saint had a past when he or she was not a saint, so every sinner has a future when he will not be sinner. It is important to see that there is this changing aspect to it. And this I, the scriptures tell where you can feel this unchanging I in us, in the deep sleep. Just there we get a glimpse of that. In the deep sleep, we do not identify ourselves either with the body or with the mind. It is in the deep sleep we identify only with the consciousness that about which we cannot specify anything. And that is known by the experience of the person when the person wakes up. That person would say, oh, was it? I didn't know anything, I was fast asleep. So that, but there is the distinction begins as soon as you go, that person ties to body and mind again. So the maintaining spiritual health, therefore, consists of trying to remember this spiritual unity of the whole existence. At that level we are one. Another important point which I will hint, because there is not much time to elaborate upon it, the deeper the layer, like the physical body, it is very limited, its strength is very limited, its versatility is very limited, its pervasiveness is limited. Go a little deeper, the mental layer, the subtle body. The subtle body is far more pervasive, far more powerful, and far more versatile too. And the spiritual layer, that is supremely pervasive, supremely powerful, and supremely versatile as well. Those of you who are interested can look into the commentary of Shankaracharya on these two verses of Kathopanishad. These two verses, they come in the third canto of the first chapter, and I don't exactly remember the verse numbers, but the verses are like this: Indriyebhya parayartha, that Indriyebhya parayartha arthebhyascha param manah, mansastu para buddhi buddhiratma mahan parah, mahata param avyaktam avyaktat purusha parah, purushanna param kinchit sa kashtha sa paragati. The meaning is that more powerful than the sense organs. Sense organs are powerful, but more powerful than sense organs are the essence of the objects that drag them. So, because they can drag the sense organs, they are more powerful. The mind is more powerful than the sense organs, because through mind the sense organs get their capabilities. Then our discerning faculty is more powerful than mind too. Then far more powerful than that is the universal mind. And more powerful than that is our true self, which is the ultimate power. So, it is there in this commentary, Shankaracharya has explained that how the deeper you go, the layer becomes more powerful, more versatile, more pervasive. So, let us hope and pray that we manage our health at all these three levels. We become healthy at all these three levels and fulfill the mission of our life. Thank you, friends.